Season 3, No More Nice. This episode is entitled Refocusing, Discernment, and Protecting Access to the Purpose-Driven You, the real you. Some healing seasons and journeys are not about becoming someone new. Sometimes those healing seasons and journeys, it's really about refocusing on who we've always been underneath the distraction, the blurred boundaries, the divided attention, the emotional overaccessibility, and unhealthy access. Because eventually we realize that kindness without boundaries delays clarity, and kindness without boundaries is basically being nice. And it is unlimited access that drains our focus, and not everybody deserves intimate access to who we are purposed to be. And today we're talking about refocusing, discernment, protecting your vision, and not sharing your dreams with everyone or your plans with everyone. Reciprocity, emotional stewardship, healthy access, and learning how to stop using giving and emotional labor and support or resources or overavailability as a strategy to connect to people we don't need to be connected to. Hey y'all, I am Madison Samone Chase, also known as Miss Chase. I was raised by an incredible single mom who is my biggest fan, my BFF, my best friend for real. I am a celebrity certified personal trainer, fitness and wellness expert, and sports and entertainment media host. I was born in Fort Worth, raised in Dallas, and built in Los Angeles. I trained at Juilliard in New York City with School of American Ballet, becoming the world's only 3-time ESPN Miss Fitness champion, appearing in over 450 fitness DVDs. And the first of those fitness DVDs and infomercials was led by celebrity trainer and the GOAT Gunnar Peterson, known for training the Kardashian family. As a personal trainer, I've worked with Robert Pattinson of Twilight and Batman, Chris Tucker of Rush Hour, and Amber Riley of Glee, Dancing with the Stars, and The Masked Singer champion. And as a sports and entertainment media host, I've had the joy of interviewing Richard Branson, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Emma Stone, Viola Davis, Tyler Perry, and Tiana Taylor, to name a few. I share my story to honor the millions of sacrifices my mom planted in me so that I could blossom into the woman I am still becoming. So if you're listening at home, pull up a real chair. If you are listening digitally online, pull up a digital chair and grab yourself some hot herbal tea, and welcome to my cozy home of Cut to the Chase at 8, now C2TC8, H.E.R Circle, which stands for High Performing Empowered Women and some men who are ready to thrive. It is a 15-minute micro-learning moment for macro living. And I am so overjoyed that you are here, because this is where we explore life, spirit, mind, and body through lived experiences, yours and mine, and intentional growth and decision-making. So join me daily for just 15 minutes twice a day at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central, because this is your daily pause for a cause, for clarity, for wellness, for allowing grace in this space, and for intentional decision-making. Each episode, my offer to you is 3 keys and 1 reflection question. And my prayer and my hope is that these 3 keys are something practical, grounded, and something we could carry with us throughout the day. So let's take a breath together. We're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready, set, and let's grow. Recently, I was listening and really kind of digesting Dr. Miles Monroe's sermon about niceness and discernment and purpose and obedience. And one thing that stayed with me was realizing that some healing seasons and journeys are not about becoming a completely different person. They are really more about refocusing and being clear and putting blinders on to focus on the things that you're purposed to do. Because I've always had a vision and a dream, and I've always had purpose and goals, and dreams that I unknowingly shared with the wrong people. I've also had discernment. But kindness without boundaries delayed the clarity. It delayed my purpose. It delayed goals. And kindness without boundaries is being nice. And unlimited access divides our focus. And over time, I started to realize that givers and takers often find each other. People who naturally encourage, support, and help and listen and give grace, they share resources. They pour into you emotionally or constantly show up for others, often attract people who are accustomed to receiving without reciprocating equally. And some people do not mistake kindness for weakness. They recognize access. That realization shifted something for me because eventually I had to become honest about the fact that I have lacked boundaries. Not because I was weak and not because I lacked purpose, but because somewhere along the way I unconsciously believed that connection required me performing or constantly giving or constantly sharing and giving my access and my energy and my emotional labor and my support, my time, my resources, the things that I know, the things that I was trying to help. And I'm a fixer by nature. And giving my visibility and my opportunities and my grace and my availability. And during this season, this healing season, it's been teaching me that connection should not have to be purchased through endless giving and self-sacrificing giving. And reciprocity matters because healthy people pour back, they give. And I no longer am interested in friendly people who pretend to be friends and who build their quote unquote idea of friendship around emotional dumping that is one-sided support or constant crisis management, that you have to manage their crisis like you're their therapist, that you have to save them. And sometimes people do that to manipulate you as well. And so that crisis management, sometimes it belongs with a licensed therapist, and I am not that person. I have my own therapist or unrestricted emotional access without reciprocity. And some conversations belong with licensed therapists. And that's where I'm going to lean into. Like, hey, that sounds like I'm not here to fix you, or I'm not going to talk around you to try to help you, because sometimes people pouring out and dumping on you is a manipulation tactic that requires a licensed therapist, that requires your private prayer journals, that requires your prayer partners or your trusted spiritual, your pastors or emotionally mature mentors. Because not every friendship, not every group chat, not every emotionally inconsistent relationship deserves your space or your time or your energy. Because not everybody has earned access to intimate parts of your healing process, your private fears, your emotional wounds, your vision, your goals, your dreams, or inner life. So the challenge is, do we continue to dump on people and share with people who are not meant to hold those intimate details? And some people unintentionally weaponize vulnerability because they lack emotional maturity and boundaries for themselves. They lack wisdom, they lack discernment or stewardship in their own life. So private information, emotional disclosures, vulnerable conversations, and intimate moments eventually become emotionally unsafe in their hands because they weaponize it against you. And if someone lacks boundaries with themselves, there is a strong chance they will eventually lack boundaries with your information too. And that realization creates discernment, not fear, not isolation, not superiority, but discernment. And honestly, one thing that has helped me during this season is something I called a PPT audit. People, places, and things. Not from a place of not being open to new people or places or things, but from stewardship. Because who consistently will drain you, who consistently only reaches out when they need something, and who creates confusion instead of clarity, and who has a short temper that you see it when you're with them in public, that you see it with them in private, that they get frustrated and they take out their frustrations on the people who are serving them. Who requires emotional labor without reciprocating emotionally? Who constantly keeps me distracted from my actual purpose and my vision? Then I started asking, what environments normalize gossip, emotional dumping, emotional performance, passive communication, or surface level support? And what habits and routines and conversations and online spaces or emotional patterns repeatedly divide my focus and delay my growth or disconnect me from peace and clarity? Because healing, in this healing journey, is teaching me that I do not need to be emotionally available to everyone. And I no longer want to build relationships or friendships through overgiving, rescuing, fixing, funding, supporting. And funding doesn't always have to be money. It could be your intellectual property and the things that you've learned, that you've shared with people that they didn't know. From simple things that you gained and that you learned along the way that they don't know. And so constantly sharing your resources before you trust someone, or consistently giving, and reciprocity and emotional maturity and alignment have been demonstrated over time. And so access should be earned. And another thing I've been learning to practice is SAC, spontaneous assertive communication. Because some of us become so accustomed to rehearsing politeness that direct honesty now feels uncomfortable, even when it is healthy. So SAC is not aggression, it is assertive. It is honesty with clarity. It is learning to communicate honestly, calmly, clearly, and directly in real time, instead of constantly editing ourselves to preserve unhealthy access or surface level harmony. And yes, this version of me may appear more assertive, more direct, more focused, less emotionally negotiable, and less endlessly available. But that is who I am becoming. And that is clarity, that is stewardship, that is focus. I am not becoming less kind. I'm just not nice anymore. I'm becoming more intentional about who and what has access to me. And some healing seasons are not about isolation. And sometimes that isolation is good. And they are about finally putting blinders on and becoming fully focused on creating a purpose-driven life. And so the 3 keys, key number 1, some healing seasons and journeys are less about becoming someone new and more about becoming refocused on who we have always been called to be underneath the distractions and the emotional overaccessibility and the divided attention and blurred boundaries. Key number 2, healthy connection requires reciprocity, emotional maturity, stewardship, honesty, consistency, and mutually pouring, not unlimited access. Key number 3, discernment helps us become more intentional about who has earned access to our time, energy, emotions, focus, vision, vulnerability, resources, and inner life. The one reflection question: what would shift in my life if I became more intentional about who and what has access to my time, energy, focus, emotions, vision, vulnerability, resources, and inner life, and began communicating with greater clarity, honesty, reciprocity, discernment, and boundaries moving forward? So before you go, I just want to say thank you. It has truly been an honor sharing this time with you and sitting with you. And I pray for grace in this space. And thank you for joining me. And if today's episode offered you clarity, grounding, or a pause for a cause you didn't know you needed, please subscribe and share this podcast with someone you care about. And leave a comment so that this isn't a monologue, but a dialogue. Now let's close with one breath. We're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. and again at 8 p.m. Central. This is Cut to the Chase at 8, C2TC8, H.E.R Circle, which stands for High Performing Empowered Women and some men who are ready to thrive. I'm Madison Samone Chase. Let's cut the noise. Let's get it clear. Let's get it ready, set, grow, and go and be great. Blessings to you and yours until tomorrow.